5 a.m. and you've woken up early to finally finish that report you've been putting off all week. You open your laptop, determined to get started, but somehow you end up reading the Wikipedia page about medieval cat armor instead. And then you're drawn into watching videos of parrots ordering stuff through Alexa while their owners are at work. An hour later, the report is still untouched, but now you know way too much about armored cats and birds with shopping addictions. Hey, no judgment, I've been there myself. But here's the thing, procrastination isn't about being lazy or bad at managing time. There's actually a lot more happening in your brain than you realize. And in this video, I'm going to explain why you procrastinate even when it feels bad and how to stop it for good. Welcome to my channel. I'm Scarlett and I help people reinvent themselves and create the life they want. If you're ready to become the best version of you, then hit the subscribe button and click the bell, and let's talk about what's actually happening when you procrastinate. When you look at the task you've been putting off, whether it's answering emails, writing a report, or even cleaning the kitchen, your brain doesn't just see work. What it sees is a threat. Here's why. A part of your brain called the amygdala is in charge of spotting danger. And even though there's no tiger chasing you, the amygdala reacts to the stress of that task almost as if there was a tiger. It triggers feelings of dread, fear of failure, insecurity, or just plain overwhelm. Normally, another part of your brain, called the prefrontal cortex, is supposed to help you think long-term and make rational decisions. But when the stress response kicks in, the amygdala drowns it out. Suddenly, that email feels as scary as facing down a wild animal. So, what happens? You avoid it. You check your phone instead. You scroll through social media. You watch funny cat videos. And here's the sneaky part. Your brain rewards you for avoiding the task. You get a quick burst of relief, a dopamine hit, and that temporary calm reinforces the cycle. The next time you face stress, your brain remembers. Avoidance felt good. Let's do that again. Bring in the cat videos. That's the loop of procrastination. Stress leads to avoidance that leads to relief. And this is why I want you to hear something important. You do not procrastinate because you're lazy. You're not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. This is a very natural response to stress. In fact, you are not a procrastinator. You have just developed the habit of procrastinating. That's all it is. It's not who you are. It doesn't define you. It is just a habit. And the good news is, habits can be changed. Once you see procrastination for what it really is, not laziness, but your brain trying to protect you from stress, you can actually retrain your brain to react differently. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they're stuck in procrastination is thinking they need to tackle the entire mountain at once. That's the fastest way to keep your brain in panic mode. The trick is to shrink the mountain down into something so small that your brain doesn't see it as a threat anymore. Let me give you a few examples. You don't need to declutter your whole house today. You don't even need to clean your whole kitchen. Just clear off a coffee table. That's it. It might take you 3 minutes to put everything back in its place. And if even that feels overwhelming, then grab a box, sweep all the clutter off the coffee table into it, and put the box aside. Done. The table looks clean, and that tiny bit of visible progress instantly makes you feel better. That's your dopamine working for you instead of against you. Your brain goes, "Oh wow, this feels good. Look how nice the table looks now. Look how much progress you've made." And here's the interesting part. Once you've gotten that little hit of relief and reward, you'll often feel motivated to go a step farther. You may think, since I already boxed everything up, maybe I'll just go ahead and put everything back where they belong now. That is momentum. Or let's say the thing that overwhelms you is the dishes. Forget about scrubbing the whole sink. Just put all the dirty cups in the dishwasher. Not the plates, not the silverware, just the cups. That's enough to show your brain, see, I started. Nothing bad happened. In fact, it feels better already. The same thing works for emails. Don't force yourself to answer everything in your inbox. Just pick one email. And not the hardest one either. Choose the easiest email you can reply to in 2 minutes or less. Once you've done that, you've technically broken the procrastination cycle because you're no longer avoiding, you've started. And starting changes everything. This isn't about lowering your standards. It's about retraining your nervous system. Every time you take a tiny action, you're teaching your brain that the task isn't dangerous. It is not as scary as it felt 5 minutes ago. It is not as boring as it felt 5 minutes ago. And once your brain learns that, it relaxes, which makes it much easier to keep going. Now, here's where a lot of people trip themselves up. You finally take that tiny first step. You clear your coffee table, you put the cups in the dishwasher, you answer that one easy email. And instead of celebrating, your brain goes straight into self-criticism. Yeah, big deal. I still have the rest of the house to clean. I'm still behind. I'll never catch up. That kind of thinking kills momentum because it magnifies those feelings, the guilt, the dread, the overwhelm that made you procrastinate in the first place. So instead, you have to reframe what progress actually means. Progress doesn't mean finishing everything in one go. Progress means being farther ahead than you were yesterday. If today you answer one email you've been avoiding, you're already ahead of where you were. If you wash just the cups, your kitchen looks better than it did an hour ago. That counts. When you start telling yourself, I'm not late, I'm starting now, you shift the entire emotional weight of the task. Suddenly, it's not this giant monster looming over you. It's just one step, one piece, one move forward. And once you realize that progress can be small and still matter because it compounds, it's so much easier to keep showing up. Habits aren't built by taking monumental action all at once. Habits are built by taking tiny action consistently every day. Cleaning and decluttering the whole house today doesn't build the habit of keeping your place clean and uncluttered. Doing one small thing to make it tidier every day does. Answering 50 emails at once doesn't build the habit of not delaying responses. Answering one email every day right after your morning coffee does. Another trap people fall into is believing that if they just beat themselves up enough, they'll finally stop procrastinating. You tell yourself, I'm lazy, I'm useless. Why can't I just get it together like everyone else? But here's the truth. The more you attack yourself, the more negative emotions you create. And remember what procrastination actually is? It's your brain trying to escape negative emotions. So when you pile on guilt and shame, you're basically giving your brain even more reasons to avoid the task. It's like throwing fuel on the fire. The way out is self-compassion. And I don't mean letting yourself off the hook or pretending everything's fine when it's not. I mean talking to yourself the way you talk to a good friend. If your best friend admitted they've been putting something off, would you say, "You're pathetic, you'll never get anything done"? Of course not. You'd probably say, "Hey, you've been stressed. That's okay. You don't have to do everything all at once. You can just start now, little by little, and it will get done." That is what self-compassion sounds like. It gives you emotional breathing room. It lowers the pressure. And it interrupts the shame spiral that keeps procrastination alive. When you approach yourself with kindness, you create the safety your brain needs to stop running away. And from that calmer place, it's much easier to do the next small step, and then the next, and the next. Now, here's something very unexpected. You know how we've been talking about avoiding tasks because they feel heavy or stressful? Well, sometimes the fastest way to get out of that stuck state isn't to make things easier. It's to give your brain a shock it can't ignore. And don't worry, I don't mean anything extreme. I mean something as simple as biting into a piece of really sour candy. The kind that makes your whole face scrunch up without even meaning to. In that moment, your brain can't think about your inbox or your taxes. It's too busy going, whoa, what is happening on my tongue right now? Another way to use this is by splashing really cold water on your face. Same effect. That sudden jolt pulls you out of the mental quicksand you were stuck in. That short burst of discomfort actually helps your nervous system reset and your motivation will rebound faster. And once you're out of that slump, the task in front of you doesn't feel scary anymore. It sounds backwards, I know. Why would you choose discomfort? But think about it. When you're procrastinating, you're already uncomfortable. You're just sitting in the wrong kind of discomfort. Swapping it for a brief, controlled version helps reset your brain so you can move forward. Here's what I want you to remember. Procrastination doesn't mean you're broken or lazy or hopeless or whatever other label you have for yourself. It means you're human. Every single person avoids things sometimes. It's part of how our brains are wired. When you procrastinate, you're just being human. What matters isn't whether you procrastinate. What matters is how you respond when you notice it happening. Do you pile on guilt and shame and make it worse? Or do you take a breath, treat yourself with compassion, and choose to take one small step forward? Every time you do this, you're training your brain to see things differently. You're proving to yourself that the task isn't as scary as it felt. But here is something most people don't realize. Your brain actually has a built-in filter that decides what to focus on. And if you've been stuck in procrastination for a while, that filter is probably tuned to notice every reason to avoid the tasks you've been avoiding. But here's the good news. That filter isn't permanent. You can change it. You can literally train your brain to filter information a different way and highlight all the things that make it easier to start and easier to follow through. I explain how this hidden brain filter works and how to use it to your advantage in the video that's on your screen right now. So click to watch it now, and I'll see you in the next video.